Hello and welcome to our garden. We like to grow a lot of fruits. Here's some fruits on the apple tree and vegetables. If you listen carefully you can probably hear next door's chickens. And there's beans growing up the bean poles. And some flowers growing. And lots of herbs. Onions. This is going to be broccoli one day. Beetroots. It's lovely out here and peaceful. Most of these plants started out as a seed. So let me show you some seeds. Here we are. I've laid some out here. So these ones, they're broad beans, they're quite big. These ones are pea seeds. Some of them are tiny. These little tiny weeny ones are parsley seeds. Some of the seeds I plant straight into the ground. Some of them start out in the greenhouse. Little trays. We've got tomatoes growing. And they're aubergines, or not will be, hopefully. Anyway, there's a story that Jesus told in the Bible about sowing seeds, and we're going to hear it now. We're going to read it from the Youth Bible.
Matthew chapter 13, verses 3 to 9 and 18 to 23. So that's Matthew chapter 13. Then Jesus used stories to teach them many things. He said, "A farmer went out to plant his seed. While he was planting, some seed fell by the road, and the birds came and ate it all up. Then some seed fell on rocky ground, where there wasn't much earth. That seed grew very fast because the ground was not deep. But when the sun rose, the plants dried up because they did not have deep roots. Some other seed fell among thorny weeds, which grew and choked the good plants. And some other seed fell on good ground, where it grew and produced a crop. Some plants made 100 times more, some made 60 times more, some made 30 times more. You people who can hear me, listen." Verse 18. So listen to the meaning of that story about the farmer. What is the seed that fell by the road? That seed is like the person who hears the message about the kingdom, but does not understand it. The evil one comes, takes away what was planted in that person's heart. And what is the seed that fell on rocky ground? That seed is like the person who hears the teaching and quickly accepts it with joy, but he does not let the teaching go deep into his life. So he keeps it only a short time. When trouble or persecution comes because of the teaching he accepted, he quickly gives up. And what is the seed that fell among the thorny weeds? That seed is like the person who hears the teaching, but lets worries about this life and the temptation of wealth stop that teaching from growing. So the teaching does not produce fruit in that person's life. But what is the seed that fell on the good ground? That seed is like the person who hears the teaching and understands it, that person grows and produces fruit, sometimes 100 times more, sometimes 60 times more, and sometimes 30 times more.
So, in that story, we heard about someone who was sowing seeds, but not all of the seeds grew well. Jesus told us that story to explain how we need to be careful to grow towards Him and to God. So, this week, can you think about things that help you grow towards God? Maybe praying, maybe reading the Bible, maybe spending time with other people who inspire you. Then we can think about things that might get in the way or stop us growing towards God. Maybe it's distractions, like worrying too much about how we look, or spending too much time on our phones or gadgets. I think we can all be guilty of that sometimes. Everyone's got their own things in their life that may be stopping them getting towards God and Jesus, so we perhaps need to think about what they are and write them down, and maybe try and start to cut them down a little bit, cut them out of our lives. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening, and have a lovely week.